I'm going to drop a bomb on you, something that I just found this out myself. And I don't think they said that, I don't think they said we can't say this, but anyway, I'm going to say it anyway. And if I get in trouble for it, I'm going to get in trouble for it. Take a wild guess how many attempted assassination attempts on the president occurred from the time that he got elected, I think it was November 17th, to the time he took office. You want to take a wild guess? 25. From November 2015 till January 2016 when he took office. He had his own private security force, and if that private security force hadn't been there, they could have gotten him.
What's that tell us?
Exactly. And look how many times they've tried. He was not supposed to get elected. He was not supposed to be the person who got in charge of the country. And because he can't be controlled, they have been coming after him since the first day on the planet. And thank God the American people see the truth. Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, he has done everything that he said he was going to do. Go back and look at his platform when he was running for office. He clearly said vaccines are directly related to autism, which is the truth. By December, we would have 100 million vaccines, and by January of 2021, we'd have 200 million vaccines. And we were going to have the military roll this out to spread it. I talked to the president's advisor, and he says, well, did anything sound strange to you in that comment? And I said, well, yeah, the military part, because you use the National Guard or the reserves, but you couldn't use the active duty military. You can only activate the National Guard, and you can maybe activate the reserves, but you can't use active military. He's prior military himself, and he said, yeah, anything else? I said, no, I didn't notice anything else. He said, what were the dates when he's going to roll out these vaccines? I said, December and January. And he goes, and when are the elections? I said, November. And he started chuckling. Now, there's a lot of information like this. The president is in the middle of a cesspool. This was a classified information by the Russian government that was actually initially published in 1977. It was only for governmental use, and it was marked that way. And the CIA declassified it in 2012. So it's actually been public information since 2012. But this is, we're looking at 43-year-old literature talking about the 5 millimeter 60 hertz frequency and the detrimental effects it has on the human system, actually not just the human system, on any living system, and it's been completely ignored. So looking at just some of the fundamental aspects of what this energetic system does, what this radio frequency electromagnetic fields do, and they have an impact on all living things, no matter whether it's 1G, 2G, 3G, I won't say beyond that. But regardless of what level it is, it's always had some type of an impact on physiology. But the most recent version of it creates some very noticeable metabolic changes. And these changes have an impact not only on the immune system, but also on the cell membrane integrity. So for example, one of the things that we see is that the voltage-gated calcium channels that are so critical for the ability of the cell membrane to regulate efflux and influx of calcium within the cell. When this voltage-gated calcium channels get disrupted, it allows for calcium to come into the cells, which then causes a suppression of apoptosis, which is concomitant with the use of basically the propagation of cancer. It's actually consistent and congruent with the oncogenic process. Now, what happens when you start to create this type of disruption, that's just one aspect of it. But then you have other aspects that go into play. And so these aspects, as they come together, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's actually 1 + 1 + 1 equaling 33 type of thing. It's a synergistic to an order of magnitude greater destructive nature. So you've got other aspects from this technology that cause lymphocyte subpopulation suppression. You have the hypoxic type injury components that people have been able to observe, which is secondary to the apparent dissociation of iron from the hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. So when you pull the iron away from it, it actually causes the disruption. So the blood can't carry the same amount of oxygen. And the list just goes on and on. There's so many things that we don't even understand yet, how it affects the human system. Or whenever I say human system, it's actually affecting all living systems. It's definitely going to affect all life on the planet, because you're talking about a radio frequency electromagnetic field that's going to envelop the entire planet, and it's a global microwave technology. Essentially, it's throwing off the entire magnetic grid of the Earth's essence. The human frequency that the Earth resonates with, you can think of it as the pulse of the planet. It's being disrupted. And now you're talking about other implications that could be not just how it's going to affect life, but what it's going to do to weather patterns, what it's going to do to the morphological structure and the configuration of the planet itself. So you're going to start seeing more natural disasters. You saw the footage with the sloughing off in Norway of 2,000 feet by 500 feet right into the ocean. You're going to start seeing all sorts of landslides like this. You're going to see earthquakes. There's been more earthquakes occurring. You're going to see all sorts of other natural disasters starting to increase because we're disrupting the Earth's magnetic grid. One of the things that I think should be most prevalent for people is they should all be asking questions. We should all, as inhabitants of this planet, we should be asking questions. The first question that we should be asking is, regardless of what's being said, what does it mean when something that's being said is being taken off the internet? There's no difference between burning a book and taking something off the internet. There's so much misinformation going on. And so the question I think people should ask is, why is this being censored? Because a lot of critical thinkers are saying, wait a second, we're not living in North Korea, we're not living in China. Why is this information being shut down? And that's the billion-dollar question.